Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Culture Nerd Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about all the fun nerd stuff that has come out in the last week. We're going to talk about the Skeleton Crew premiere, the Creature Commandos premiere, and a new Gundam show made by the guys who did Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is absolutely insane looking, but it looks like Gundam, but not like Gundam, and how that's good and bad. So we're going to talk about all of these things and a few other fun things, probably Pokemon, but we're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. And without further ado, let's begin this thing. And here we are.
And here we are. The theme of all of these shows is robots, FYI. There was a lot of great robots. I believe you have, but I just want to confirm with the audience. Taylor, have you received your full art Mew card?
Which one?
The one you unlocked by getting all the other cards.
Oh yeah, I got that like a month ago. I just got the new promo Mew card, which was super cool. Did you see the new promo one that came out just the other day?
I have not seen it. No.
It's the lesser of the good Mewtwo cards, but it's cool looking, but it's like
I got it. You put it in your deck. It's a meat shield.
Yeah, pretty much. It's strong, but it's ugly. I mean, I don't know. I hate the move. I hate the moveset.
It's in the meta now. I'll send you those videos. There he is. Look at that good boy.
Let me drop that brightness as much as I can so the camera can recognize that I'm showing something.
Okay, those are your settings.
Stop it. There we go.
Yeah,
so this is the new one, the new Mewtwo. It's really cool looking, but he's got the dumb move where you have to discard all your crap when you attack, and it's the only move it has.
You use it as a meat shield. EX is the one.
EX is the one to ruin people's days. But the fancy Mew that has like the cartoony art and all that jazz. Yeah, I got that.
I'm 4 cards away. I'm opening Pikachu packs to get the Raichu and the Magneton. Once I get those, I will craft the Aerodactyl and the Vaporeon that I'm missing to get the card, and then I'll start opening Charizard packs to hopefully get a full art Charizard.
Yeah, so I got all those, and I got the icon set that you get from doing all of those things.
Okay.
I have the sets for the completion.
Yes.
So the better looking Mewtwo one, but then I also just got that awesome medal for getting all the rainbow border legendary birds. I drew the Articuno last week completely.
I have pulled none of them.
Yeah, it was kind of random. Every time I get them, I'm like, yay. And then I was like, I need to find this last one. And then I found it. So I was really happy about that.
The Venusaur, are you playing the Venusaur event? You farming? You farming?
Good job. I got all the promos. There's a funny thing because people don't realize that the promos for that event are based on the amount of promos you got in the last event. So the rate of drops is based on that. So some people are like, wow, the hidden card in this set is the Jigglypuff. I'm like, no, it's not. If you actually got the Lapras, then you get tons of Jigglypuffs. So, but people apparently didn't do good on the last event, which is why they're not getting crap on this event.
Well, it's raking in the money.
Yes, it is. I think I read somewhere that it's been out a month and made 200 million already. Like something just.
I like it a lot. The collecting aspect of the game is great. I would love maybe some quality of life changes. The game needs a dark mode. The game, there's a couple things like that. I think they need to maybe address the going first to second. I don't know. I don't even know what you do there, but some smart game designers. And then I know that we're supposed to get a mini set pretty soon. Right? We're supposed to get one in the next probably 2 weeks or so. I wonder what the release cycle is going to be for this. Because in other card games, like in Hearthstone, you'll have a whole year and you'll play with these cards, and then eventually they'll go away, and you can go to legacy mode or the wild mode and play the old cards. There's such a small pool. Pikachu EX deck, the Mewtwo EX deck. The meta is pretty figured out at this point.
Yeah.
They can add more cards to shake that up, but are they going to take things away? I just have a lot of questions about the future of it.
From my understanding, the game itself has already has like a few planned expansions for like January, February, and a bunch of other updated little mini events between and after. So like they're not doing the Pokemon Go thing where they didn't know what to do for like 6 months and then they lost their player base. Like they're like, we're gonna do this right, so let's like give them content.
On that regard, especially coming from sharing Taylor's Game Boy and playing that card game so much. I'm loving these events. I'm loving getting new stuff. I'm enjoying the pool of cards. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. Okay, now speaking of the future, let's start with the trailer for Gundam. Did I watch the correct one? The GX Gundam movie, where there's like it's like what did I write down? It's like Jet Set Radio, but with Gundam.
Basically, I mean, it's a weird show. I think the show itself is what did they call it? Gundam G Quux, I think is how you pronounce it, but it's GG. It's GQ6 U's and then an X.
This is just like Evangelion 3.9947.
Yeah. The trailer is just batshit. Like what is happening here? And it feels a lot like this show takes place in kind of this Gundam Build Fighters, Gundam Witch from Mercury vibes to it. But I want to show off the bat the new Gundam G Crux or G Cux or whatever it's called. This suit is actually pretty damn cool looking. I'm trying to find a solid picture because when they released this thing, they put out just a small handful of like production materials. Like here's this, here's that. It definitely looks like the Gundam show is one that is a hybrid of this weird animation style and then CGI fighting.
I like the weird animation style. That scene where the girl's jumping and the Rolly robot has like the beanie on.
The Haro has the beanie this time. Like I'm like, okay, so Haro's got some personality. I'm good with this.
This is why you let things get reinterpreted by somebody else, because they give it that new style. And Gundam, I don't feel like Gundam's been stuck in anything, but it's fun to see something that's not as serious, which I guarantee you the third act is the children are saving the world. But
right, so I mean every Gundam show that does this, like especially with the Witch from Mercury, it was like, oh, this is fun. She just squished a guy like a bug, and now it's all dark. Like there's the new suit, the G Cux, Crux or Kyux or whatever, however you pronounce that, GQ Yux all the way to the end, however you pronounce that. But this thing looks like it could have been a backup Ava. So
it's funny when you say it like that. Also, this is version 1.0. You know it's going to get, I feel like an overshield or something. Like maybe even like the Gundam Zero Angel Wings or something like that.
Yeah, this is version 1. But like
that gun is straight out of Evangelion.
Yeah. But one thing I noticed from the trailer right off the bat is that it's fighting Zaku's again. Yep. Zaku's are back. And the pilots, major Ava vibes here, was the girl, the main character who's the girl. She is straight up wearing an Evangelion plug suit. Like, no way around it. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so the style is interesting. It doesn't look like any Gundam style before, but it's
elephants.
The show itself was like the main robot designer is the guy from Evangelion, who designed all the suits from Evangelion, all the angels, all that stuff. Then the producer is the guy from Evangelion. The animation house was the same house that did all the Rebuild Evangelion projects. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, so they just basically said, hey, while we're working on our next Gundam thing, why don't we let the Ava guys do a Gundam show and give them the constraints of what a Gundam show is, since they know what it is, and then just go nuts and just see what they make.
I guarantee you, they told them, oh yeah, there's new types and there's these psychic kids that like unlock new powers. I guarantee you these Gundams are going to be screaming like monsters. That face is going to open up into a monster face.
Right. You're going to get like total Ava, like the suit is alive. And it's like, ah! Like it's screaming. But the character designs, every character has like, I don't know, maybe this is a new type thing that I'm thinking, but like you have multiple characters in the show that these are the main pilots, but they all have like multiple tiered colored eyes. Like you got blue and red in this one. You've got red and blue or inverted on this other one. And this other gal also has like these yellow and blue eyes. And these, maybe that's just like we're new types and our eyes are friggin' weird looking, or maybe something like that. But there's not enough to go on yet on what this show is about, except for the fact that we know that this is essentially, it's kind of like almost like G Gundam, where the suits are gladiators and they fight each other for supremacy.
Yeah, the kids remind me a little bit of those Nintendo Squid Kids.
Kind of, yeah, got that vibe. But it also has this like the Pokemon anime OVAs. Like it's kind of got that vibe to that designs. Like this character looks like she could be in a Pokemon game. And
they all feel like they could be in a video game. This also feels like it should be a video game. Like I could almost feel like the mission structure already coming together.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is weird. But again, like you said, this screams Evangelion. And these, I can 100% see that mouth open up and just bite another robot's face off or something.
Or they're going to combine together and there's going to be another...
Yeah, we're going to get Megazord Gundams or something.
Maybe, maybe.
Something just insane and unheard of for the franchise, but it's going to be a nice departure.
When does this release?
Next year. Apparently, in January, they're releasing in Japan a multi-episode compilation movie, like the introduction, kind of like there's the prologue and the first 2 episodes in a movie form. And then later this next year, the show is going to be in Japan. And then presumably it's going to be in Crunchyroll in America. And apparently this is something that was not shown in the trailers, but this is pretty cool. Just random Google thing. Apparently the Gundam has got this Gundam unicorn vibe with how its head works. And it has like
that's an Evangelion. Yeah. What are we talking about?
Like, I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, so this thing wraps around the head, it fights, and then when it's like in battle mode, it's like forehead opens up and it's got eyes. And I'm like, this is an Ava. This is Gundam Unicorn / Ava. Like that's what we got here.
Okay, so in January, when I'm watching Solo Leveling Season 2, how long do I have to wait? Does this come out at the same time or probably a couple months?
Depends if they do a simulcast like they did with Witch from Mercury. Like when they simulcasted it, we got it like it debuted and like 5 hours later we got the sub version. And then from there, we got like the dub came out. They like quiet released the dub like a month later. Like they didn't even tell anyone. They're like, oh yeah, dub. And they put it out. But one thing that I caught very much was interesting was that the model kit has a very unique looking beam saber. But the promotional material gives the girl a heat axe, like the Zaku's. And I'm like, this is going to be a lot more, like you got the main Ava-looking gun, and then a heat axe, and then the other figures have this weird, almost like force-fieldy plasma sword that doesn't look like it's connected to a blade, but it's coming out of its hand like Optimus Prime / an AT field from Ava. So it's kind of like, I'm very curious on what they do with this show. Super excited for it. We've also wasted a lot of time on Gundam right now. So
no, we haven't. No, we haven't. We're talking about TV that's coming. Now let's talk about TV that's happening. You want to start with the kids?
Yes.
You want to start with the kids show or the adult show?
Yeah. One end of the entertainment spectrum, we have Star Wars: The Skeleton Crew, and I was nervous about this project from the beginning. Just the whole idea of here's kids in Star Wars, and it's going to be weird. And I sat down and started watching it, and I'm like, this feels like Goonies and E.T. and Star Wars. Like, this feels exactly what I wanted it to. It's a lot of fun, and I'm expecting Jude Law to be like a Davy Jones thing. With like, he's actually a bad guy trying to find the treasure planet, and he's like leading the kids astray, like full on like Treasure Island kind of a thing. Like, oh, this is Long John Silver. This is actually, he's not your friend. He's a bad guy.
That's so funny that your brain works like that. That makes so much sense. Now that you say that, do you think that the kid's dad is actually a Jedi? Because there has to be another fake, because he's obviously, maybe he was trained, or he was he probably survived the temple being destroyed.
So this guy, if you look at Jude Law's age and then the timeline of ages, Jude Law's character was probably like a young man who survived and didn't get trained because obviously he was a youngling, and if you didn't become an inquisitor, you died or you went into hiding.
That's what I
he
figured.
Used his powers for evil and became a space pirate, and then just hid his powers until he needed it. So I could very much see him being like, yeah, I was a pirate for so long, I'm also a bad guy now.
Also, can we speculate the love song to Steven Spielberg is felt through all over this, and it's so funny. They do the Remember Berries different. That opening scene is a little bit like New Hope, but it's different. We then get, Blue Milk. We then get the scene from the Star Wars Christmas special is what the little elephants were watching on the holodisc.
So that just canonized the thing that Harrison Ford said should never be watched ever again.
I think they're gonna release it again. I think they're gonna put subtitles on it. They're gonna figure it out.
I mean, you can see it online, and it's terrible. But I really think they'll be like, we have a 4K remastered, guys, like something ridiculous.
I have an idea for it, but we'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah.
What do you think? And if you know, don't spoil it. What do you think the mystery is of where they came from? Because they come from a place that doesn't look like any Star Wars we've ever known. They then go into Star Wars when they leave
1980 suburbia with the future tech. Yeah.
But are they like... I thought instantly went to something fucked up, like they're clones of, or the island. I was thinking are they like the actual young bodies of this is Palpatine and this is this other person.
Yeah, I'm watching it, and I mean the place is already there. Like, you have them talking about how there's a barrier around the planet, so obviously they're hiding from the rest of the universe.
Yes,
and then you've got this. Everyone was like, you have Old Republic credits. How does this exist? So I'm watching this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so it's basically like Disney's Treasure Planet. Like, this is a planet that's been hidden, and it's been its own ecosystem for so long that it thinks that the Old Republic is still in existence, but all of that shit died 100 years ago, and they're just unaware.
Oh no! Like Blast from the Past. They're in a shelter.
And these people, the ones in control, know the truth, and they're just basically like, we're doing an aptitude test to see who's replacing who, so we don't have to go out to the outside universe.
Wow. I thought it was a Stranger Things show. You're telling me it's kind of like a Fallout show.
Basically, like, this planet is like it's basically a Fallout vault, just being kept from the universe, and nobody knows how bad the outside universe is. They don't know anything about the Galactic Civil War, because even the kid was reading the little holopad, and it was all Old Republic stories.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about Star Wars is that robots can be dumb, like whatever their sentience is. Can we talk about this new badass robot?
I liked how she was like, I killed him, so I'm your boss now. He's like, okay. Like, he didn't even fit. He's like, your logic makes sense by pirate logic. That's fine.
Yep, I'm a pirate robot. Pirate logic works on me. I know of 3 places. What do you want to plunder?
And I liked how, out of all the droids we've seen, this is like the most amoral / bad guy droid that we've ever seen. He was like, I can fight these people. I can kill them. And a bar fight, let me wreck some guys. And he just came out in guns ablazing. And I was like, this is kind of fun.
He reminded me so much of the Miyazaki robot.
Yeah. He definitely looked like a house moving castle.
His dope ass shields come out. It's like, what else is this thing hiding?
Yeah. So I'm watching this thing, and the guy who directed this show was the guy who did the Spider-Man movies, John Watts, and he actually did really good. He delivered something way better to me than the Spider-Man films, because I don't like the new Spider-Man movies.
I want to give hands off to the casting. Those kids are fabulous. Fake Data Kid, Punky Brewster Kid, Scared Kid, Elephant Face. They're all amazing.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show, and I'm watching it, and I'm like seeing the pieces of what's going to happen, and I can see the obvious. They're pulling from Treasure Island. They're pulling from this, and this is cool. This is unique, and I feel like they're doing the proper thing with Star Wars, where they're giving you this false sense of security right off the bat, and it's going to take a twist. And I'm like, this is everyone who was mad about the Acolyte and how the Acolyte basically just didn't live up to expectations. I see this show and the people behind it, and I'm like, this show is going to be the antithesis of that show.
But
something new, something fresh, and something that's going to surprise people.
But it also feels like a well thought out adventure.
Yeah.
Like beat 1, we go to space. Beat 2, we meet. Like, I feel like at the end of this season, this story will be finished. Now, I hope that they also set something else up, but I don't feel like I'm seeing half a show. I'm on the adventure, and a lot happened. They really got them out there into the universe as quick as possible.
And I thought it was really funny how, like, the show, is it messing up? Am I still here?
You're here.
Okay, sorry. I'm getting like a notice on my screen saying something was trying to connect and whatever. So it feels like this is one of those, it's a self-enclosed one-off story, and when it ends, there could be a repercussion that we see later on. Like maybe Mandalorian or Ahsoka, one of these characters is going to cross over, and that's about it. But it's very much a Goonies kind of adventure, and I'm really happy with it. It's fantastic.
I hope one of those characters comes over, because I think it will give a real big boon to having those projects then intersect with this world, and whenever we find out what the truth is of it. Who was responsible for this show? Is this Kathleen Kennedy's saving grace? Who?
Nope.
No. Nope. Okay, of course not.
If you actually watch it, yes, she produced it, but the show was developed by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, the people who did The Mandalorian and all the other great things, and the current guy who's running Star Wars right now, Dave Filoni, and John Watts from Spider-Man. So this show has the right people in charge, which makes me see, okay, this is why it feels like such a Spielberg story, because you've got Dave Filoni, who's essentially like the nerd community is pretty convinced that he's George Lucas's illegitimate son and just reincarnated George Lucas.
Reincarnated.
Like, even though he's still alive, they're like two people in the same, like two bodies of the same person. Like it's very interesting to see how much they think alike, create alike, tell stories very similarly. So I'm happy with it. I think it's great. But on a complete other end of the spectrum,
let's go to some HBO Spawn. Let's go to some adult animation.
Now we're talking about Creature Commandos, and this project comes out, and I got a chance to see a couple of these episodes early. I'm glad everyone's seeing it and very happy about it. It is dark, and I'm watching this show and I'm feeling like, yes, this feels a lot like HBO Spawn, but it feels like I'm watching it. I'm like, I see why they had to do an animation, because it would have been a very expensive in live action because of what they're doing with this.
The full, only seeing the first 2 episodes, I think, I'm assuming, as I saw episode 2, that was all about the bride, that we'll have an episode for each character.
Yes.
The scope of these things, the back and forth of it, the fact that anyone dislikes or is mad that Alan Tudyk can be in every animated feature forever. This character is different than the other characters that he's played. I don't feel like I'm seeing Clayface or any of his other characters. Just the pacing of it. It makes me excited for James Gunn's bigger universe.
Yeah.
I will say this, Taylor, I'm a little worried about Superman, because James Gunn writes these great hard R things. I know he can do PG-13, but Superman's going to be a much different tone than what we've seen, and also than Peacemaker, right? Those seem like a much different world than what Superman's going to be.
Yeah. It's very interesting, but I think that what it comes down to is James Gunn has been known to make films that aren't James Gunn, right? Like, I mean, he made the Scooby-Doo films. So, like, in my mind, I know he can do PG. And I know he can sneak some overt grown-up jokes into PG. But I'm also...
Does that mean Sarah Michelle Gellar will make her debut in the DC universe?
But like I think we're fine, honestly. The more I see into this, one thing that I thought, and I'm not sure if you saw this interview, one thing that I saw that him say this past week in another interview was one of the best things that he could have possibly said about the shared universe. One, he said that He said, unlike other studios, when he joined Hollywood, projects were greenlit and made based on good scripts. And he believes in that. He will not greenlight a project unless a script is good. They have a plan of what they want, but they will gladly let a project die if the script isn't good. So that's a big win for me. He basically threw a lot of shade at Marvel, saying they announce a slate and then they have to scramble together to get a project to fit that window. That's not what he's doing.
And James Gunn is making completed films. Every time these Marvel movies come out, which version of the movie did I see, Taylor? Because it's usually like version 3, right? Like, how many reshoots have they done for this new Captain America movie at this point?
Like a whole different movie, like 3 films at this point. But then lastly, the other thing that he said that was absolutely fantastic to me was that he said, unlike the MCU, this shared universe is going to feel more like the Star Wars shared universe than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, where not every project is required viewing, but the more you see, the more you in depth into it, the more you get out of it context-wise. Like, people saw the Ahsoka show, and yeah, if you saw Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, you needed it, but you got context as it was being displayed. And same thing with like Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3. If you didn't watch the Clone Wars, you can still enjoy the trilogy, but they're even better if you watch the Clone Wars. So not everything is required viewing. Things happen in this big world, but it is not, you have to see this movie to see this movie to see this movie, and you can't see this movie unless you watch these 12 projects. Like,
right.
It's all like a comic book.
Yeah, and it means that Swamp Thing's going to be a hard R, and your kids are going to be like, who's that? You're like, you don't get to see that movie yet.
He was from the forest. He was a dude, and now he's part of the forest. And that's all you need. Like,
that's all you need to know.
So I personally really enjoyed Creature Commandos. It was a bit jarring when some of the hard R nature to some of it. I was like, oh, okay, sex scene, weird.
I like it. I like that it's so in universe. In the first 10 minutes of the show, it validates season 1 of Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad movie. Just in, your daughter outed you, and oh, I'm really sorry you lost your son on that mission.
And like he said on his previous interviews, if it's talked about in show, it's now canon. If it's not addressed, they can retcon it at any time.
I love that we don't even get Wonder Woman. We get a bad Amazonian. Like, just all of this. I'm so excited to see this world and go into it bigger. We've only just touched it.
Exactly. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, to be honest. I think it's really cool. But I think it's going to be great where it goes. I mean, people are really excited about this show. They're really excited about the universe as it evolves. And I think going forward, I would love to hear what people think, because I personally loved it. I thought it was a fantastic show. It's dark. It's not for kids, obviously.
The fact that the robot's being like, Taylor, is this guy a Nazi? Am I allowed to put him in Nazi hell
kill him
now?
He's being sassy. Is he a Nazi in disguise? Like, lots of fun.
Super fun.
But on that note, everybody, I would like to know what you all think about these shows. I mean, are you excited about the new Gundam show? Are you excited about Skeleton Crew? Do you care about Creature Commandos? Let's find out.
Hit us up at the patreon.com/theculturednerd. All of your patronage is much appreciated. If you don't have any monetary funds to give our way, please like, comment, subscribe. All of those things feeds the algorithm and lets more people find this wonderful show. Question of the week: which of these projects are you most excited for? B question: have you seen all these UFO videos? Taylor Murphy's your host. I'm Michael Santel, your co-host. We'll see all you kids and cats next time.
Bye.